Well, never mind all that stuff, because COVID also taught Sunny Hostin how to get her groceries delivered. Yeah, I know, amazing. But that means it's time for...
Living your life and you're feeling low. You don't know what is true. You don't know what's true. So you quick flip through the channels to watch Sunny on The View. Oh my God, the stuff she said is done. Where the hell they get this woman from? She's always wrestling with lots of nonsense to proclaim.
Sunny Hostin just had a complete meltdown. And it was so crazy that the studio lights seemed like they were watching her every move as the chaos happened super fast. This wasn't some random bad luck moment. Greg Gutfeld called her out with such sharp words that even her teleprompter seemed to panic and mess up like it couldn't handle the truth crashing down around her. The fake behavior spilling out created drama, so while it felt like a reality show exploding in real time, with tissues practically flying everywhere, as she fell apart faster than a cheap wig getting blown through a wind tunnel. Anyone who has ever watched The View could see this showdown coming, yet it still landed with the surprise of a twist you knew would happen, but couldn't stop watching. And what she said the moment the cameras stopped rolling was so unbelievable, it left everyone shocked.
Fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a stick.
Sunny Hostin finally broke down in a way that went far beyond the usual tiny cracks that happen every day on The View, especially when someone dares to ask a question more difficult than, "What's your favorite color?" And this time it turned into a full high-definition meltdown right in front of millions of viewers. This wasn't regular chaos. This was a super clear emotional breakdown delivered live and powered entirely by Greg Gutfeld, who showed more contradictions in 2 minutes than the show has managed to ignore in 20 years of pretending everything is perfectly fine. The moment he spoke, the calm atmosphere shattered and Sunny's control slipped faster than anyone expected to see on television.
So, Sunny, I bet you haven't been in a supermarket since COVID for about 3 years.
I haven't been in a supermarket. It's like COVID. For about 3 years, that's when I discovered Instacart, and I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well, and it's so that's been an issue I think for the company. But man, you can get toiletries, you can get fire logs. You know those big Bounty towels. You don't want carrots from Costco. Somebody else goes.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable. Hey, but at least I tip.
It all started like any ordinary Tuesday on The View, which means the opening felt less like a talk show and more like a loud group therapy meeting filled with big compliments, cheerful high fives, and the usual shared belief that they were once again saving democracy one dramatic moment at a time. Sunny Hostin, who plays the role of legal expert with the same energy a teenager brings to playing video games, excited yet completely off-key, was front and center as always, offering deep-sounding thoughts that basically said everything bad is someone else's fault and facts only matter if spoken loudly and passionately enough to drown out real logic and common sense. The whole setup made the moment she collapsed even more intense and surprising.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's how she took the news.
If you've never watched The View before, just imagine the comment section of a political Facebook page brought to life and hosted by people who once quickly read a Wikipedia article about the Constitution and decided that made them instant experts on everything. creating a mix of loud opinions and shaky confidence that somehow passes for real discussion on national television. Sunny fits perfectly into that world, taking on the role of the group's voice of reason. If your definition of reason includes shouting threat to democracy anytime someone challenges her coffee-powered worldview, turning every disagreement into a dramatic battle cry that feels way bigger than it actually is in reality.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
Fact of life. Interesting change of tune. For more, we go to our chief Sunny Hostin correspondent for a reaction.
But then everything changed because sweet karma arrived the moment Greg Gutfeld jumped into the conversation. And that's when the situation exploded into pure chaotic entertainment that nobody on that set was ready to handle at all. Greg isn't polished in the traditional sense of being careful. He's more like the bold guest at a dinner party who says the things everyone secretly thinks about, but is too scared to actually speak out loud in public. And Sunny had no clue that sarcasm was still perfectly legal in most places across America. The second he started pointing out her greatest hits of saying opposite things, she folded like a weak lawn chair in a storm, unable to keep her balance under the weight of her own contradictory words coming back at her.
Oh, I'm going to milk this till the end of time. You're right. Anytime she says something stupid, I'm going to go, slave owner. Kat, I just watched that. That's the second time I've watched that. She was tipped off beforehand, right? Because they had to tell her before, so she had time to regroup. They wouldn't just
Really?
surprise. Do you think? No?
I don't know. I feel like she could have maybe done better. Okay, here's the thing.
Sunny has this magical ability to demand calm conversation, while recently calling half the country a roaming pack of democracy-destroying monsters, which only works if everyone agrees with her completely and never questions anything. Because otherwise, she acts like you're helping commit a terrible crime against humanity. Her logic blends courtroom drama with middle school cafeteria energy in the most chaotic way you can imagine. And Greg didn't stop there at all. He dug even deeper, pulling up proof like he was checking her entire public record for mistakes. One moment she's criticizing family separations at the border as terrible and cruel. And the next moment, when her preferred political leaders do the exact same thing, it suddenly becomes a complicated policy matter that regular people simply couldn't understand or judge fairly, turning her contradictions into something she might as well print on a decorative pillow for everyone to clearly see.
I think that women, white women in particular, want to protect the patriarchy here because it's to their benefit.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that their husbands do well. They want to make sure that their sons do well. They want to make sure that their children do well. And they want to make sure that they do well. Most of the women in some of these studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up.
Greg laid everything out with sharp accuracy, showing how Sunny's anger works like a light switch that gets flipped on the moment a conservative person sneezes and flipped off when a liberal politician stumbles through the Constitution, like it's a confusing maze they've never seen before in their life. She's the type who demands big investigations into the ethics of someone's social media posts while defending politicians who couldn't even spell the word ethics, even if you handed them the letter E, the letter T, and a thick dictionary to help them out, making the whole thing feel like a comedy sketch that accidentally turned serious. The audience at The View reacted exactly as expected, cheering like loyal fans at a music concert, even though Greg could have handed them a thick scrapbook filled with Sunny's contradictions signed by Sunny herself, and they still would have booed him loudly for spreading negativity and being mean to her.
Joy Behar gets racism after all. She's been black on Halloween. Yeah. But Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. But that is convenient, right? It's like one of my aunts dies every time Brian Kilmeade wants to hang out. Maybe Joy needs a full day to read her hate mail, and that's just from the rest of the cast. So Scott had to deal with Sunny Hostin and her typical self-righteousness.
Naturally, Sunny did what every modern TV personality is trained to do in media classes. She played the victim with dramatic speed, using a shaky voice and the polished tears of someone who has attended professional media training more than once this year alone, transforming Greg's simple criticism into an emotional attack on women, minorities, and possibly every rescue puppy living on the entire planet. When you can't win the argument with facts, you make the battlefield bigger and bring in emotions. And Sunny stretched it so far that feelings became her only weapon left, turning the moment into a spectacle of pure dramatic survival that everyone watched in shock. Sunny, who has spent years throwing harsh labels at millions of Americans from her comfortable ABC studio seat, suddenly broke into tears because someone finally pointed out that she contradicts herself more often than a motivational speaker who keeps changing their main message every 5 minutes, creating a moment that felt like emotional gymnastics gone completely wild.
But unlike this chick, we didn't think it was the best thing that could have happened to us. Although it did get Joy Behar to wear a mask. It's funny, her being named Joy is like me being named ugly.
It was the kind of dramatic display that would earn a gold medal at the Olympics if the judges scored performances based on pure lack of self-awareness and irony. And The View reacted instantly by protecting her like an old Western movie scene. Only this time, they were shielding her from the terrifying danger of being fact-checked on live television in front of millions. Whoopi Goldberg even delivered an energetic pep talk that basically suggested facts are flexible as long as you feel strongly enough about what you're saying, turning the whole situation into a performance of emotional loyalty rather than caring about truth or accuracy. Behind the scenes, producers supposedly worried about Sunny's emotional state, treating a simple call-out of hypocrisy like a life-changing crisis and emergency. Even though politicians and public figures get criticized on national TV every single day without falling apart completely, you'd think Sunny would be used to it after all these years on television.
Did you watch the whole thing or just parts that I sent you?
I watched obviously just the parts that you said. Did I watch a whole episode of The View?
No woman can do that. Oh, that's just stupid.
I have a job.
Here's the thing. How can they call themselves progressives when they keep saying that nothing has progressed? Then it's on them.
Right. I just wish I could have, would have watched if I could, would have been Joy Behar watching that and being like, I totally made the right call. It was not an accident that they had him there on her day off when she was, presented herself as the, expert on systemic racism.
This moment turned explosive because Greg Gutfeld dared to point out that the emperor had no clothes, while Sunny cried into her designer coffee mug like the truth itself was too sharp and painful to handle, creating a scene that spread across social media within minutes of airing. Twitter erupted with funny memes, including one brutal edit calling her strong opinions weak spine, and another mocking her as a hater crying on The View with the caption reading, "When you realize receipts don't lie," showing how fast the internet can turn a meltdown into a viral spectacle for entertainment. Even people who normally avoid political drama noticed the irony clearly. Because when you preach about being civil and kind while insulting half the country constantly, the contradictions tend to stick in people's minds like superglue that won't come off. Meanwhile, Greg's TV segment went viral online, his calm, sarcastic breakdown connecting with everyone tired of being fed the same recycled cable news talking points each week without any originality.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist. You see?
What made the whole situation even more entertaining to watch was seeing the View scramble to reframe the disaster, suddenly insisting this drama had nothing to do with Sunny's long list of contradictions and everything to do with protecting women from supposed public attacks on television, turning a simple call-out into a grand emotional mission to defend her. They treated pointing out hypocrisy like it was some kind of serious federal crime, twisting the story and narrative until criticism sounded like a terrible crime against all of humanity. Even though anyone watching could see the truth shining through clearly, the show has become a safe bubble for ideas that never survive real adult discussion or debate. A place where Sunny Hostin and her co-hosts avoid genuine arguments like it's something dangerous to their image, choosing instead to run a daily self-esteem workshop disguised as political talk filled with dramatic sighs and emotional speeches that sound important but say nothing meaningful.
More time to talk. And I thought Will Smith wouldn't let a black man finish. If her IQ was half as high as her smugness, she'd be Einstein. And later it got weird after Whoopi Goldberg asked a question and Sunny chimed in again.
If nothing else, Sunny's meltdown delivered a surprising gift to everyone watching. A clear, unforgettable reminder that hypocrisy eventually falls apart under its own weight. No matter how long someone tries to hide it behind dramatic speeches and emotional outbursts, you can only fool yourself and your audience for so long before reality catches up and someone finally points and laughs. And this time, the laughter echoed across the internet with incredible speed. Sunny Hostin's televised breakdown wasn't just about being exposed or even about politics. It was about the unavoidable collision between fragile egos, exaggerated outrage, and the solid, unshakable wall of truth that doesn't move no matter how loudly you scream at it. The View spun the wheel of drama once again, and this time it landed directly on public embarrassment, leaving Sunny to face the consequences while everyone else watched in disbelief as her carefully built image cracked right on camera.